Hello. Welcome. Wait. Okay. All right. Welcome to the relationship experience. We have got our educators in the field, Adrian and Krista. I am your host, Sarah J, and we're going to kick it off with a question. So for today, it is about healthy relationships. So hit us, Krista, with something that everybody can ponder for a moment.
Yeah. So this is kind of a fun, playful one. Okay. So I want you to think about your childhood and movies, and who was the celebrity or movie couple that you were like, I want a relationship like that? What was it? Whether it's a cartoon or a movie, like what was it that you were like, that's goals? Hashtag goals.
What's the couple from Beetlejuice?
Oh my God. The parents?
The ones that, no, not the parents, the ones that pass away. So Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis. I just love that they had their cool house and they were going to do a summer of nothing, and each of them had their projects and things, and they didn't have any kids, and I just thought, like, that is the coolest thing in the whole world. Like, you're like adults acting like children, even though they're dead in the thing. But still, sorry, spoilers if you've never seen Beetlejuice.
That's so funny. I would have never picked that. That's what's even the best about it.
I mean, for me, I think it's right when you said that, it brought me back to two dogs eating spaghetti meatballs. There you go. Yeah, that movie. Yeah, it's not even like a human being. It's two dogs, but
Adrian's so romantic.
yeah, I was just like, man, like one day, you know. And I even tried to repeat that with Marlena, like when we early on in our relationship. She's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah,
I do the two dogs.
Yeah, I didn't even tell her where that came from, but
that's so cute.
That is so cute.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what comes to mind.
That's so funny. I think for me, the classic one is Up with Carl and Ellie, and such a cute dynamic of this couple. And it's so funny because like I feel like my husband and I are really good examples of that.
Okay.
Because like I am a little bit crazy like Ellie. Like, we're gonna be best friends. Like, you don't have a choice. Yeah. and then he says nothing. Yeah. And that is 100% my husband. He's just like, do I get a say? There was a meme a few years ago and it just cracked me up, and it was a man eating mashed potatoes, and the thing said, why do quiet men always pick crazy women? Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, well, I ordered mashed potatoes, but I got salsa, but I ain't telling nobody. Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna even bring it up. I got the crazy one, but I'm not telling her because I'm settling for what I got. It just cracked me up because I'm like, yeah, we are Carl and Ellie. And, we want to do our adventures together, and that's okay. And so that's for me. That was like relationship goals.
I love that. I love all of those are different. It's true. We watch these movies, and you do as a little kid. You're like, there it is. When I get older, that is exactly what it's going to be like. And I love that you reenacted that, and she had no idea. Like that is, we're all doing that though in our adult lives, and you have the partner that's like, but this has been like a dream of yours forever.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay, so we have looked at good relationships on the screen. I would love for both of you to give us some good examples of what a good, healthy relationship would look like. Like if we could list off, I don't know if you have a major list or some key ones, I suppose.
Yeah, so
principles.
Some principles for a good relationship. I think we do this activity in the beginning of this lesson in the classroom, and we put red beads and green beads in a cup that you can't see, and we have them pick out these beads. Red bead means a person that's not good for you, but not a bad person, just a person that might not fit you. Personality, values, things like that, right? And then there's a green bead, a person who's good for you, and there's a lot less green beads in there than there are red beads. Okay. Yeah,
because not everybody's gonna. Okay.
Yeah, not everyone's going, and so then they pick out this bead, and it's usually a red one. You get very lucky if you get a green one, and then we ask them the question, why do you pick out red? Or we get those beads and we put them in a see-through cup, right? And it goes back to that lesson 4 with the brain chemicals. At first, you're making decisions on the fly off of the euphoric stage, and you can't really see, your blinders are on. You don't know who they really are. You haven't got to know them yet, and so maybe seeking a good match. And that just means you're looking for a person who has the same values, right? You're looking for a person who maybe has a personality type that's going to fit best with you. You're not looking for a twin, right? Someone who's like completely like you, but you're looking for someone who's going to compliment you.
Yes, they're gonna.
So,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really, I like that. Okay.
Another big thing is a healthy relationship. You don't have to adapt yourself in a toxic way. I mean, obviously we grow as people, but if you're changing your likes and your hobbies and your responses for another person, that's not okay. And then you shouldn't demand that they change for you. People can't make another person change. You have to choose to grow and develop. And so if you're in a relationship and you feel like you can't be your true self, or you're not allowing someone else to be their true self, that's not okay.
Right.
So a healthy relationship is you can be you and they can be them, and you're still compatible in who you really are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like a comment like you're too much. That is a red bead. Definitely a red bead. Because somebody who's telling you that you're too much, you don't want to be in those situations. So principles for a good relationship. Again, not twins. I like that because they're complementing you, and the values. Your values are so important. And when you're younger, you are just building that foundation and realizing what your values are. So if you get in a situation where you're a big joker and you just think everything's funny, and you're just sliding into these situations, and you're just collecting all these red beads, and you're like, I love to live in chaos. But no, it's gonna catch up to you. So even if you're the funny one, you still, everybody needs to make sure that you are looking for good, healthy relationships, and then you'll be really, really funny, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we go to the love triangle. What is the love triangle?
Go ahead.
Well, it's in the classroom. I like to correlate this to Twilight. Because I'm like the ultimate love triangle in media, right? And then these kids have no idea. Most people under the age of 30 don't know
Oh my gosh,
the
they
series.
give you a blank look.
Yeah, but then the love triangle is the 3 parts that make up a healthy relationship. And none of them are bad on their own, but if you're looking for a healthy, like, romantic relationship, you need all 3. And so one of the parts is friendship. And friendship takes a long time to develop. It doesn't happen quickly, and it's built on commonality, right? There's something that bridges you guys together. You create memories, you create moments, and then that establishes that friendship part of your relationship.
Your base.
And the second one is trust and commitment. And that is, I understand that we have committed to each other, and that I can also trust you with who I am. If I tell you something, if we have an experience and maybe it doesn't go well that day and we get in a fight, I don't have to worry about you stepping out on me. I know where I stand. I trust where we are, and I'm also committed to you, through better or for worse, right? To go through some of those things that aren't extreme. We're talking just normal stuff. Like if you have a grumpy day, they're not going to bail.
You didn't pass your test or something. Yeah. It's not
And-
the end.
Yeah, it's not going to end. But I've been in relationships I didn't have that.
And that's both people have to be on. You have to be aware that if you give so much of yourself and they're not giving the same amount, you are so unbalanced. You have got to just get up and walk away, because they're not. You can't change them. You can't look at them and think, I see so much potential in them, and if I just play my cards right, eventually I'm going to play the long game. Ooh, that's so bad. Okay, that's not a love triangle.
No. And the third part of love triangle is chemistry, which is attraction. Now, there are multiple levels of attraction. There's emotional attraction, there's mental attraction, and then there's obviously physical attraction. Hopefully you're physically attracted to the person that you're with, because, I mean, that's a big part of a relationship. And so then we ask the students, guys, what happens if all you have in a relationship is chemistry? Then it's just about the physical. And we joke that, that's a one-night stand, right? That is just
Infatuation.
Right?
Yeah.
There's you can't build off of that.
No, it's gonna burn out eventually, and it's gonna get ugly.
And if you gain weight or they gain weight or you get some wrinkles or gray hair, it leaves, right? It's very fleeting. And then what happens if you're in a relationship that just has trust and commitment? Those are fine relationships. And everyone should have one of those, but it's not the one you're dating. And that usually looks like a teacher.
Okay.
Maybe a counselor. Your trusted adult. Those are people you trust and you're committed to, in the sense of, when I go to school, I trust that my teacher will educate me, and I'm committed to showing up to class, and they're committing to show up to work. We have a commitment, we have a trust, but I'm not telling them most likely my stuff. And where there's no friendship, and hopefully there's no attraction.
That's a big deal though, because I think those lines get blurred a lot.
Yes.
Where you're a trusted adult, you feel so safe and comfortable with them that there might be a weird little nope, that is your trusted adult, and there aren't any feelings that get to be involved in that more than trust. And I know I can come to you if I've got an issue, and you are an adult, a safe space, and you're going to give me that information back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there might be some friendship in the sense of you trust them, but it's not a deep friendship.
Yes.
There's a different level.
Yes.
And then you have your deep friendships, and those are your platonic friendships, and that's okay. So it's okay to have trust and commitment. It's okay to have friendship. It's not the best thing to have just a chemistry relationship, but it's okay to have those too. But in order to have a healthy romantic relationship, you need all three.
Mm-hmm. And you need to always be working on those healthy relationships, so that way when you get into the bad ones, you can identify it a lot faster. And it takes practice to be able to identify those things and not lying to yourself. If you just keep going, they didn't mean it when they said that. Take them at exactly what they are saying, and if you are misunderstanding something, ask them very directly what they meant. And if they can't, again, get up and walk away. Just don't give not everybody deserves the best version of you. Not the best version. I know you said it in one of the other
Everyone
ones.
deserves the real you, but everyone deserves all of you.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, that's powerful. We all need. I wish I would have had you, and little Sarah's like, yeah, I dig that one, because that's really important. Everybody needs to have that in their life. Oh, okay, talking about healthy relationships. Now, what are some examples of a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship? I know we touched on this a little bit, but can we dive in a bit deeper of like the good side of it, and then what the flip side of like, this would be okay, this is a work in progress, this one over here is a hot mess and we want to stay away from that. Is that too?
No, it's
No,
great.
it's good, yeah. And we have plenty of those.
Okay.
In the classroom, I often share because we have a list that comes up, and there's healthy and then versus unhealthy.
Okay.
So you could identify, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what unhealthy looks like to know what a healthy relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And one example I give is early on in my relationship with Marlena, I always talk about support. A healthy relationship looks like support. And she did not like soccer at all, right? She did not care for soccer at all, but still she would come to my games. She would watch games with me. I did not like makeup at all, and I would still sit down with her, watch a makeup video, and we were supporting each other in those areas. She wanted to try out for cheerleading, volleyball. I'm like, yeah, go for it. I want to try out for like soccer or different clubs, and she's like, yeah, you should go for it. And so there was a lot of support, right? And that's an example I give on the healthy side of it. Do you have a example?
Yeah, I mean, I have healthy, and then I'll share a little bit of an unhealthy that wasn't obviously unhealthy. And I think this is the big thing is we know the big triggers, right? If they're physically abusive, unhealthy.
Right.
If they cheat, unhealthy. But what happens if it's not super obvious? They're not that bad of a person. I was in a relationship for over a year, and they were a very good person. And the triggers for me are the beige flags, or whatever you want to call them, where I wasn't allowed into everything. And so that person had a few things that were just theirs. So in the sense of I never got to meet the family after a year. Never even got told I existed. I found out that they never even said they were dating me because they weren't sure how the family would accept me because of two different cultures. And so I'm not sure I can accept that. And then little things where I'd be like, oh, why do you do that? Oh, I just do it because that's who I am, and I'll tell you one day. It's just very distant. It wasn't very intimate, and I just kind of pushed those away because it was a great person, and we got along, and we had mental attraction, chemistry, and we had friendship, but the trust wasn't fully there, and the commitment wasn't fully there, and I didn't know. I was like, oh, this must be the best because I had not had anything better.
If I put more into it, eventually I'll get to unlock those little things that they're dangling in front of you. But the dangling is the part that's that's not a good fit. That's a very good,
And it was unhealthy in the sense that it didn't fit everything. And eventually I had to make the choice to say, I'm not willing to settle for this. There's got to be something better. And not that he wasn't great. I just had to be something better.
Right.
And he would find the person that was the better fit for him.
Right.
And so we went our separate ways, and it was fine. But it really taught me a lot about who I was and what I wanted. And that I really did want that trust and commitment at a higher level that I wasn't getting. And then I found it with my husband. And when we first started dating, one of the biggest things was, being a Kenyan, they don't celebrate things the same. Our first Christmas, he bought himself a Christmas tree because he knew I wanted one.
Oh.
And we were just friends then.
Yeah.
And we were hanging, a bunch of people got over, and it was as small as a 1-foot tree. It was so tiny. And he's like, yeah, I got a Christmas tree, and he was like, here you go, because Kenyans don't celebrate, don't put up trees. And he was so intentional about knowing something about my culture and offering that was a big thing of commitment. That was what I was looking for.
Love that. Love that.
I've got another flag for you, an unhealthy relationship. If you are in sports and then you start dating somebody and maybe they're saying like, I don't want you to go out for the cheerleading team because I don't want people to look at you that way. That's an unhealthy relationship because that's putting you into a box. And this can go either way, male or female, however you're doing it. Anybody who is asking you to change something that you love because it makes them uncomfortable that is going to get worse. Those things don't get better. Those are.
Absolutely. I love that you share that. I feel, because I work with a lot of teenagers. I lead a group of men that come over, and so a lot of these conversations we have is, hey, I'm not allowed to follow certain people on Instagram, or I'm not allowed to play sports anymore because of this, and and so there's a lot of little things little red flags, you could say, and it's mainly in the beginning of a relationship, and it reminds me of early on out in my relationship with Marlena, there were some red flags, and one of those things was like, we were both protective of each other, so it'd be like, hey, let's just not have social media at all, so there's no problems, right? But that wasn't the best way to go about it. And as you grow together and start learning, like, hey, you do need a support system, and you do need a group of friends you can hang out with, and you do need to go out and be able to be social and have relationships and play sports and be active. You come to find out that there are certain ways not to do things. Like,
I think an easy rule of thumb, if you're not sure, is healthy versus unhealthy are opposites, right? Healthy is supportive, unhealthy is not supportive. Healthy, includes all of you. Unhealthy is like they only want the part that they like. A big one is healthy involves we have a you and a me and a we. So you have your own life, I have my own life, and then we have life together. Unhealthy, it's we're always together and you don't get your own life. And so really if you can understand one, you can easily understand the other because they're going to be opposites. Healthy is trusting, unhealthy is full of fear. And so looking at examples of when you look at somebody, you go, wow, they have a great relationship. Well, what's healthy about the relationship? And then point those things out, make a list. If you're not sure, make a list of things that you go, I want this in a relationship. And then if it's the opposite, then that's not what you want, and that could be unhealthy. Or talk to an older couple that you respect that have been together a while and ask them, what are things that have worked in your relationship that are healthy? And make that list, actually put those words in front of you.
Yes.
So that you can go, okay, I'm looking for this. Talk to your trusted adult about it. And if you can get that visual of what healthy is, it'll be really easy. It won't be super easy, but it'll be easier for you to understand when you see something that doesn't fit.
Yes. Well, and so when you got these relationships, when you're looking outside at other people's relationships and you haven't had a lot of experienced relationships, you don't realize it takes a lot of work in any relationship to continue it moving forward, for both people in the relationship to grow and support each other and have miscommunications, be able to get over those miscommunications, or one person set a boundary where the other person had you don't know what you're getting into until you are in it. And so having more tools in your tool belt, having the specific words and the feelings and the opposite, the unhealthy. If I know it is healthy, it is the exact opposite of that. And so keeping those things in your mind is going to help you maneuver this stuff. Because even if you do find somebody who is awesome, like how you were saying with you and Marlena, like everybody has those moments where you love each other, so you like each other so much, and you just want to just be around, and you don't want anyone else in your bubble and stuff. But you need people in your bubble. You need to have your own friends and your own things that you do, and you need to be able to trust each other enough to go do those things, because then you'll have so much more fun when you get back together, and that makes you a more healthy, well-rounded person. And that the healthy relationship with yourself is the healthiest one of all of them.
Love that.
And we do bring that up. We say, can anyone nurture a healthy relationship? The question is no.
Oh.
Because if you are not healthy, you cannot create a healthy relationship. So you first have to be healthy with you before you can be healthy with anyone else.
And a lot of people that are unhealthy and willing to not want to put in the work, man, they are sure attracted to those shiny people that are putting in the work, and they are like little black holes. They call them, what is the vampire, social vampires. So they suck all your energy. Those people that aren't putting the work in are going, if you are like, I'm a do-gooder and I'm going to help this person, and they just look broken, and I'm going to put all of my effort. Nope, you are going to end up on the floor with them just as broken and not even realizing it, because they've moved on to the next person and they're sucking all their energy up. You need to be able to fill in your own cup, and then you can help with others. But there comes a point where that line is that you have to let go and let them do what they need to do. And that is in any type of relationship. I love it. I'm going to use it now from forever. Get up, walk away.
There you go.
Don't even say anything. Just get out of here. All right, so we've talked about the good and the bad, but some of that bad is when we get to that point where we have hit all of our boundaries and all of our lines, and it has come to the point where it is time to break up.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? Because, I mean, obviously it's terrifying, it's scary, you don't want to hurt anybody, but you also want to be very firm and honest. So there's no foolproof way of, ripping off the Band-Aid.
There is a better way.
Okay.
There's no perfect way, but we talk about there's the best way to break up.
The best way to break up.
Ooh.
Well, some breakup tips we do talk about are, this is what I call the sandwich method. So I like to tell the students, like, when you're going to break up, meet at a public place. Let someone know where you're meeting and what time you'll be expected back home, first of all.
Public place.
Yeah, you want to do that. And you want to do the sandwich method. So it starts with saying something nice, telling them why. So maybe something, that's going to be hard for them to hear. And then ending with something nice. I'll give an example. Hey, I appreciate the time we spent, but you just aren't the best fit for me. I hope that in the future you find someone that will be a good fit for you, kind of a thing. So tell them something nice, tell them the reason why, and then end it with something nice. So there's closure at the end, and then that should be the best way to do it.
You sit there and then what? Because I feel I would sit there for another hour and have them try to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
So we tell students, like, don't be afraid to give room to ask questions, but be firm. Know why you're ending it. If you're the one who's being the person who's breaking up, and give them the respect to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just because they're human and they're a person, and maybe they don't understand. But if they eventually don't get it, you can't control that. But
Right.
give them a chance to ask questions. Do it in person if you can. If it's safe, do it in person. But be firm that the relationship is not beginning again. That's the big thing, is you don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to be the mean one. So you're like, well, maybe we could still be friends. Don't play that game, because you don't know the other person's emotional state. Maybe they're incapable of just being a platonic friend.
Right.
And they need space. And
Right.
that's okay. So don't make it look like you could still be friends. Don't make it look like you guys are going to get back together. We tell people, do it in person, be firm, give room to ask questions, make sure they understand where you stand. And then when you're done, remove them off your social media for a while. And that can be an extreme for young people to be like, what do you mean remove them?
You don't need to see what's going on in their
That's
life.
the biggest thing.
It'll bring triggers, right? Memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it may only take a little while, and maybe you can refriend them again in the future, but for a while, just create some separation so you're not seeing the next person they're dating, or the profile picture's changed. And
Right. If it's the next day, one of the hardest parts about being broken up with and having, being the one that's breaking up with somebody is that moment of feeling like I wasn't good enough, or what did I not do? What could I have done better? Just know, I know it's really hard to do this, but it's the best thing that somebody can do when they say, this isn't working. Because you want to find people that work for you. You don't want to be forcing yourself into these situations. So removing them from your social media is giving yourself a break. And we didn't have that growing up, where we got to see everybody's lives, and maybe you never even speak to these people, but you're like watching them through this, like, it's a curated bubble. I say it because they're picking the most beautiful things out. Yeah, you need to give yourself a break and a breather and know that you are enough. You don't need another person to validate you and that's so important because
Like once you're done with the breakup and you know it's over, get a hobby.
yeah.
Hang out with your friends. Don't jump into a relationship right away. Don't rebound, but get yourself distracted with other things. Fill your life with things so you're not dwelling on the breakup and dwelling on what's happened. But talk to your trusted adults. Surround yourself with positive people. You can get through it, and that's the big thing. This is the best way to break up, and then this is the best way to recover. But there are bad ways to break up, and we tell the students these. And these always crack me up, guys. Is when we go through the list, you always see that side eye.
Yeah.
And you see the.
I've done that kind of a thing. Yeah.
And it always cracks me up because then they're like, "That was bad," and then when they think about it, they're like, "Oh yeah,
I could have handled it
probably
differently."
wasn't the best." And the biggest one is like Snapchat, like
Oh,
telling them over
breaking up.
Snapchat.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then you see a bunch of students just like, they're side eyeing,
Like, that's
or
what
that
we
was
did,
you, or that was me, and it just cracks me up.
Oh, social media.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked about the bad ways to break up. What are some good ways to break up?
Well, I guess we flipped that because we talked about the best
Oh,
way
we
to break
did.
up.
Yes, thank you.
And now we're going to talk
good.
about the
We're
worst
talking
ways
about
to
the
break
worst,
up.
The absolute worst ways
There's
to
a
break up.
list.
Yeah, there is.
I want to hear them.
Well, first one is through social media.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to, hey, it's over. Or you don't want to
Instant
be.
messaging them, it's over.
Yeah. Another bad way to break up is getting a friend to tell them. I remember. Yeah, that's one of the worst. In middle school, I did that.
Oh, you were the one.
Yeah, at a basketball game. Yeah, I told my friend, hey, go tell her.
Basketball game?
Yeah, I was like, go tell her. And so it backfired on me because when we were walking out, me and my brother, she was standing right there and she was like, oh, why wouldn't you tell me my face? Like, you're a coward. And I was like, oh, man.
Good for her.
I was like, I should have done this in person, right? But I had to go tell someone. So you don't want to do that. It'll backfire.
Right.
Do you want to give some examples?
Yeah, I was just listening to your story and it distracted me for a second.
Yeah.
But just ghosting them? Yeah, it feels like the easiest way out. You're like, I'll just disappear. But that doesn't give any closure. It doesn't show a sign of respect on your part or their part. So don't just ghost people. My one that I think is really funny, and I think this hits more our generation and probably not as much of the youth today, but changing your status on social media without telling anyone. And you go from like, I always crack up because you would say like married and then it's complicated and then single and you're like, well, something's going on there.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden you hop on and you're like,
Ooh,
single and you're like, whoa, I thought we were in a relationship and now it's changed and I didn't know. So that cheating, horrible way to break up is just going out with someone else before you even ended the relationship.
For sure. I wasn't broke up with, but I went to a dance in high school, and I had told we were friends. So I said, if you've got a girl that you want to go to the dance with, go with her. But I just want to go with friends. I want to have a super fun time. In the middle of the dance, this dude stops dancing with me because he apparently has started dating someone. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
I know that's not the same thing, but those things, it's not nice to do those things. And so there's absolutely no reason for you to go that hard on people. And I don't know why when you're young, you are, I guess you're more selfish and you're thinking only about yourself. And so you don't want to baby somebody in the fact that like when you're trying to let them down, don't let them down too easy where you are allowing a window of possibility, because anybody that hears that little bit, they're gonna hold right back onto it. But
so I have a breakup situation that is a bad way to break up, and I think this one can happen more commonly is if you don't have a plan for breakup. Like if you have to be the one to do it, have a plan. Know where you're gonna meet, what you're gonna do, and partly this wasn't my fault, but I was dating a guy. I use my finger quotations, guys, because it was like 4 weeks in. Like it was really a new relationship, and we had taken the subway into Washington D.C. because I was living in Maryland at the time. It was an hour-long train ride, and we get there, and as we're like hanging out, he tells me he loves me, and that he could see a future with me, and I'm like, whoa, no,
too fast,
and
too soon.
So I shut that down, and then we had to go home together because we had rode the train together. So we hop back on the train, and he's just upset. And he won't like sit next to me. He's across the train. He's like punching the wall of the train.
Oh no!
And I'm like, I don't I don't know what you would expect 4 weeks in. Like, I feel like you're being crazy, so
Yes,
red flag. But we still had to ride back together, and we were just like on the train, just awkwardly like. There's like 3 people on the train, me, this guy, and some other person.
Thank God there was another person
And
on
then-
there.
at least.
Yeah, and
I'm going to another car.
Yeah.
and then we had to get back, take the car together, drop him off at his vehicle, and it was super awkward. So if you're going to break up and you have a plan, you have a location, drive separately, leave separately, give space at the
Yeah.
end for that person to process through or for you to process through. It's really awkward if you go together. And so that was funny because I'll
Oh,
never forget,
gosh.
like, and I look back and I just go, what was he thinking?
Yeah.
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 And if I would have known, we wouldn't have rode a train together. But we got stuck in that awkward breakup. And so if you can make a plan, if you know you're going to end it, if you're the dumper,
Right.
just have a plan so that it's
Right.
most respectful for you and for them.
And dragging it out is going to make things worse.
Mhm.
Telling a bunch of friends is going to make things worse. Telling your trusted adult is a really good idea. Maybe even do a little role play so that way at least you know you can kind of like
That's really good.
right
Yeah.
because it's important. You get you care about this person. You have feelings and you have like a lot of it is that physical connection.
Mhm.
But when you don't understand what that is, so you're going to misinterpret things and. Like you said, you broke up with him and then he started punching the wall. Like, gosh, now I'm getting to see what this person looks like when they get angry. Those are you again, you're leveling yourself up and you're getting more life experience and you know how to speak better, more eloquently when you're able to just like be very upfront and not put a lot of extra language in it too. Very to the point. Everyone's gonna get their feelings hurt.
No matter what.
Yeah, whoever's getting broken up with is you're gonna be devastated because for a moment you're feeling like
Yeah.
I'm not the chosen one,
Yeah.
but you are the chosen one. You just
Just
were
for
in
someone else.
Yes, you were in the wrong area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is don't play the blame game.
yeah,
It's really easy to make yourself feel like you're the reason. I'm just not good enough. I should have done things differently. But if there's more red beads than green beads, that means very few people are going to work with you. And you're going to have a lot of people not work out. And as long as you can, just tell yourself in a healthy way, like, it's okay that it doesn't work out because not everyone will.
Yeah.
And not blame yourself and not blame them. Just find a way to, like, say, it just didn't work out. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to focus on something else and allow myself time to heal.
I love that. I almost feel like we could open it up, and if you are going through that situation right now and you'd like to write kind of like what the deal is, and maybe we can read some on one of these podcasts and kind of help people, because I know everybody goes through these situations and everybody thinks their situation is like, so like, well, this one's real difficult.
Yeah.
There's markers in every single one of those where you know where you need to go, and there's hurting people is tough.
Yeah.
And you don't ever want to hurt anybody, but also when you're hurt, you want to hurt other people. And so a lot of things can be said. I think it's very important what you said about having separate cars and kind of laying out how you're going to do it, being in a public place. Breakups are not easy, and that not all of them are going to be completely healthy. Some of it's going to teeter into the unhealthiness, but as long as you are understanding what the main goal is, that you need to be separated. And yeah, gosh, I wish anybody out there that's going through this right now, loads of luck. You're gonna make it through. And anything else that you feel that you've come across in your different sessions with the kids that they've brought up, that you're like, man, if everybody got to hear this, it would just be great. Put you on the spot.
There was a complicated one. I think in Natchez, where it was a hard breakup situation, easy but hard because of the scenario, what was going on. And there was a girl, and she was like, "What if like your ex is dating your best friend?" That's a tough one.
That is a tough
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And so,
Okay, I want to dive into that a little bit.
And sorry.
No, you didn't interrupt.
No, I think that's a hard one because you have to process through a tough situation in the sense of they may not continue to be your best friend for a while.
Yeah.
And if they're choosing maybe that is their forever partner. You don't know. People fall in love at different ages.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just a fling. You really don't know. But if they're doing that, you have to separate yourself from both of them. And that can feel very isolating.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Twilight. What is it when they imprint on somebody?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if that's the situation and you have to,
Mhm.
you have to.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be really, and especially small towns. Any situation in the
Yeah.
schools, when you get friends involved and relationships involved, that's a very important thing to remember. That
Mhm.
not every single person in your life is going to be in your life for your
Yeah.
entire life, and that's okay because you
Mhm.
learn stuff from every single situation. Like
Yeah.
we've only known each other for a few months now, or not even that, but we're like, I feel like we vibe really well.
Yeah.
There's some people that you're gonna meet and right away, boom, you just are off and
You come
running.
back.
Yeah, and then there's other people where you always have these weird little, and that doesn't mean that they're not supposed to be in your life, but again, it's knowing which ones get all of you, some of you, just the bare minimum,
Mhm.
and it's not a disrespectful thing, it's just
Yeah.
knowing where your line is and how you need to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think going along with your question, one of the things that I've seen a lot of is from girls asking what happens when I still have to see them. Like, we break up and we sat together. They were my lab partner.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to be together, and now we're broken up and we still have to be lab partners, or I still have to sit next to them in class. I still see them in the hallway. And you still have those love chemicals are going through your brain, and so you still have emotions towards them. And that's
Right.
normal. You shared a part of yourself with this person. You should have feelings still.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give it time, just like the chemicals will fade, it will eventually become less and less and less. And then eventually you'll see them and you'll have the memory, but the emotion will not.
The
be
pain,
the same.
that physical
Mhm.
reaction that you have is gonna change. I think getting that hobby, anything that you had in the back burner of your mind that is like, I like that, dive into it hard, just so that way it's like, so I love eating. I eat all the time, but you have to think about what, instead of eating, what can I do? So to switch that thing, when you get to that place where you're feeling melancholy because you know you're about to go into that classroom with, maybe you meditate for 5 seconds, maybe you just like listen to your favorite song, I don't know, you go outside and scream. My dad used to say, go and scream in a pillow as loud as you can, like whatever you need to do to release all that extra energy. You're still gonna have feelings, but at least you are aware of what they are. You're trying to work through them a little bit more. You are gaining back your power instead of like, watching this person that you used to be your everything and waiting for them to acknowledge you, to have self-worth. You need to work on your own self-worth, so that way you just are the healthiest relationship, again, is the relationship that you have with yourself. And you have to keep reminding yourself that, because we forget all the time.
So good.
Absolutely.
My gosh, the relationship experience. Any questions, any thoughts, any stories, please message us. We'll put the emails and the links, and we've got social media, so like and follow us. And until next time, thank you.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you soon.
That was longer. Looks like
That was
35 minutes.
okay.